Good morning, students. Welcome back to our class. In the previous class, we have discussed about the parts of speech. We know in English we have 8 parts of speech that are noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. In the previous class, we have finished noun. What is noun? How many types of nouns we have in English that we have discussed. Majorly, we have two types of noun in English. One is proper noun and the second one is common noun. Common noun again classified into two types based on the form and based on the meaning. Based on the form, we have countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns always may be in singular and plural. Based on the meaning, we have 4 types of noun. One is concrete noun. Concrete noun is also called as a material noun. And abstract noun, material noun, and collective noun that we have discussed. In this class today we are going to discuss about pronoun. In the previous class we have finished about the noun. What is noun? How many types of noun we have there? Where we have to use it, that we have discussed in the previous class. In today's class we are going to discuss about pronouns. A pronoun is a word which is used instead of a noun or a noun phrase. To replace the noun or noun phrase, there we use the pronoun. In a sentence, to avoid the repetition, to replace the noun or noun phrase, there we are using pronoun. Instead of noun or noun phrase, we are using pronoun in our English. What is the usage of pronoun? Pronouns are used to avoid repeating the same nouns over and over, again and again in the sentence. If you use noun again and again in the sentence, it looks clumsy. For example, Ramu is a good boy. Ramu went to school. Ramu played a cricket. Ramu, it doesn't looks good. Again and again, repetition of the noun in the sentence, it doesn't looks good. Instead of noun or noun phrase, we are using pronoun. Ramu is a good boy. He went to college. He got a good marks in the exams. How it is looking? Instead of using Ramu and Ramu in every sentence, to avoid the repetition, we are using pronouns. Now we know what is pronoun. Pronoun is a word which is using instead of a noun or noun phrase. The usage of pronoun, it is avoiding the repeating the same noun over and over again in a sentence. Okay? Majorly, we have 9 types of pronoun in our English. Pronouns are classified into various types. They are as follows down. First one is personal pronoun. Second one is reflexive pronoun. Third one is emphatic pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, and indefinite pronoun, interrogative pronoun, and distributive pronoun, and reciprocal pronoun. And last one is relative pronoun. In this class, we are going to know in detail about these all pronouns. First one is personal pronoun. Let us know what is personal pronoun and where we have to use it. Personal pronoun, we use personal pronouns to replace nouns. Every pronoun we are using to replace the noun and noun phrase. Personal pronoun is also using to replace the noun and noun phrases. We use them to refer to people and things that have already been mentioned. We are using personal pronoun to replace the people, things, and that have been already mentioned in the sentence. They reflects person, number, and gender. The personal pronoun we are using to reflect, the personal pronoun we are using in the sentence to refer the people, refer the things that have already been mentioned in the given sentence. For example, I, we, you, he, she, it, they, these all are called as the personal pronouns. We have using personal pronoun in the sentence to refer the people, to refer the things, to refer the objectives in the sentence. Personal pronouns are using to refer people, objectives, and things in the mentioned sentence. They reflect the person, they reflect the personal pronoun, always reflect the person. Personal pronoun may reflect the number, personal pronoun may reflect the things, gender. In English, we have the three types of person: first person, second person, and third person. What is first person, what is second person, and what is third person? Please don't confuse yourself between these first person and second person among these third person. First person is always speaker. I is the first person. In the picture, you able to look at the first person. I is the first person because I am speaking something. Today I am going to discuss about the pronouns. So I am the speaker. I will be the first person. You are listening about the pronouns, so you are going to be the second person. You are the second person. If I discuss in the just now a few minutes back, I have discussed about the Ramu. Ramu is a goodbye. I said it, right? So he becomes a third person. He or she or it becomes a third person. First person is speaker I, second person is you. If I discuss about someone, he or she or it, that becomes the third person. There is the plural, third person. They may be used to reflect the things or persons. We also first person, I and we. We is the first person plural, I is the first person singular. You is the first person singular, and it becomes a second person plural also. Clear? In English, we have three persons: first person and second person and third person. So we are using personal pronoun to represent the people and things. It reflects persons. Personal pronoun always reflects about the person, number, and gender, and things. For example, I, we, you, he, she, it, they, these all are called as the personal pronouns. Okay? Objective pronouns. In a sentence, we have subjective, verb, and objective. Whatever the sentence you write, that sentence has to follow this structure: subjective, verb, and objective. For example, I ate chapati for breakfast. I is the subject, ate is the verb, chapati is the object. So, personal pronouns. Some of the personal pronouns we use always in the subjective place. They are called as the subjective personal pronouns. I, we, you, he, she, it, they, these all are called as the subjective pronouns. We have to use them in the subjective place. So what is subject? We know that subject, verb, and object will be there in a sentence. Always subjective pronouns has to be used in the subjective place. I ate chapati. I becomes a subject. Ate will be the verb, and chapati becomes a objective. In the objective place, we have to use these personal pronouns, objective pronouns. These are me, us, you, him, her, it, them. He gave me a pen. He gave me a pen. He is the subjective pronoun. Gave is the verb. Me is the objective. Objective pronouns always has to be used in the place of object. Right? Possessive pronouns. Some pronouns always tells about the possession. We call them as a possessive pronoun. My pen, my college, my family. Okay? Our college, your pen, his house, her box. Okay? Possessive pronouns always tells about the possession. Some pronouns always dependent pronouns. It never depend on others. Dependent. It depends on others. For example, my pen. So it is depending on a noun directly. It follows. It follows the noun before the noun it comes. So it is a dependent pronoun. So attributive, possessive pronouns always tells about the possession. In possessive pronouns we have attributive and predicative pronoun, dependent and independent pronoun. Possessive, attributive means what? Dependent or attributive means what? Joins directly to a noun in order to describe it. Dependent pronoun always joins with the noun directly to describe it. That's why it is depending on a noun. For example, my pen, our college. College is a common noun, pen is a common noun. It is directly joining with a noun, so it becomes a dependent. And we may call it as a attributive pronoun. Predicative, the part of a sentence that expresses is said about the subject. The part of a sentence always says about the subject, that is called as a independent pronoun, or may be called as a predicative pronoun. So now we are discussing about, please don't confuse yourself. Now we are discussing about the personal pronoun. Personal pronoun always represent the person, number, things, gender that have been already mentioned in the sentences. We know subjective pronouns, some of the personal pronouns are there. We have to use them in the place of subjective place. They are I, we, you, he, she, it, they. These all are called as the subjective pronouns. We have a personal pronouns, that is me, us, you, him, her, it, them. These all are the objective pronouns. We have to use them in the objective place. I have a car, subjective place, I am using it. Please give me a car. Give me a car. Me, it is using in the place of objective, so this becomes a objective pronoun. Now we are discussing about the possessive pronoun. Possessive pronoun always describes about the possession. First one is dependent pronoun and independent. Attributive. Dependent is also called as a attributive pronoun, and independence is also called as a predicative pronoun. Attributive pronoun joins directly with the noun. That's why we are calling them as a dependent and independent. The part of a sentence in predicative, independent or predicative, the part of a sentence that expresses what is said about the subject. Independent pronoun always tells about the subject. Okay. What are independent pronouns? Possessive pronouns: mine, ours, yours, his, hers, its, theirs. These all are the Independent or predicative pronouns. Attributive pronouns are what? My, our, your, his, her, its, their. These all are called as the attributive pronoun. Reflexive pronoun, another we have is the reflexive pronoun. Person or thing that does it action. Whatever the person or thing performs the action, that action reflects back onto the subjective. For example, I cut an apple myself. Whatever the apple you cut it, that action is going back again onto the subject. Myself, I did it. Reflexive pronoun. I cut my hand myself. Nobody has hurt me, just I cut my hand myself. Reflexive. Myself, ourself, yourself. Plural is yourselves. Singular is yourself. If it has to become plural, there we have to use VES. Himself, herself, itself, themselves. This is the plural. Please don't confuse about the personal pronoun. Now we are discussing about the personal pronoun. We have to use personal pronoun to refer about the people, things in the sentence that have already been mentioned. We are using personal pronoun to replace the nouns. Personal pronouns reflects person, number and gender. Okay, in English we have first person and second person and third person. We know what is first person and second person and third person. And subjective pronoun, personal pronouns, some of the personal pronouns we use them all in the subjective place. That's why we are calling them as a subjective personal pronouns. I, we, you, he, she, it, they. These all are the subjective pronouns. Objective pronouns, we use them in the objective place. Me, us, you, him, her, it, them. These all are the objective pronouns. And possessive pronouns we have. These pronouns always tells about the possession. That's why we call them as a possessive pronoun. Possessive pronoun, we have in possessive pronoun we have two types. One is dependent and independent. Possessive dependent pronoun is also called as a attributive pronoun, and independent pronoun is also called as a predicative pronoun. We know what is attributive. It joins directly with the noun. That's why we are calling them as a dependent. It describes about the object. That's why we are calling them as a independent. We know reflexive pronouns are myself, ourself, yourself, yourselves. Yourselves will be the plural. Shall we go for the reflexive pronoun? Reflexive pronoun. Just now we have discussed, right? Let us discuss in detail about the reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronouns redirects a sentence or a clause back to the subject, which is also direct object of the sentence. They are used as a substitute from nouns or pronouns when the subject turns back upon itself. All pronouns we are using for the substitute of nouns. Reflexive pronoun redirects back sentence or clause back to the subject. Whatever the action, whatever the performance, whatever the activity it performs, that action reflects back onto the sentence, reflects back onto the clause, reflects back onto the subject. Whatever the action performed by the subject, that action is going to reflect it back onto the subject again. That's why we are calling them as a reflexive pronoun. By reading examples, you come to know very well about what is reflexive pronoun. I cut my hand myself. Myself is an action done by the subject. This action, again it is going back onto the subject. Who cut his hand? Himself he cut his hand. So, this is called as a reflexive pronoun. Whatever the action is performed by the subject, that action is going to redirects or goes back, reflected back again under the subject. However, image reflects back onto our face when you look at the mirror. Like that, whatever the action is performed by the subject, that action is going back or reflecting back onto the subject. For example, the computer restarts itself every night. The computer itself restarting every night. So itself is an action. That action is reflecting back onto the it. Who is it here? The computer is it. Pushpa made herself a coffee. Who made coffee? Pushpa made coffee herself. That action herself is reflecting back onto the subject. You should address the letter to yourself. The letter has to be addressed yourself. Raul is proud of himself. Himself is proud of himself. That action is reflecting back onto the subject. That's why we are calling them as a reflective pronoun. For example, in the picture you are able to see he slipped and hurt himself. He hurt himself. He slipped and hurt himself. They cooked dinner all by themselves. They cooked their dinner themselves. Themselves is the singular. Themselves is the plural. She finished her homework herself. Is anybody helps you to finish your assignments or homework? Nobody helps us. We have to finish ourselves. So she has finished her homework herself. That action as reflecting back onto the subject. That's why we are calling them as a reflexive pronoun. She read the book herself. Okay? I hope you come to know what is reflexive pronoun. Just now we have finished personal pronoun and reflexive pronoun. Let us discuss about the emphatic pronoun. Emphatic and reflective pronouns look similar, but in reflective pronoun, action reflect back onto the subject. But in emphatic pronouns, we emphasize the sentence. Who has did it? I myself can finish my assignment. I myself can finish my assignment. I cut my hand myself. Myself, that action is going back onto the subject. I can finish my assignment myself. I myself will do it. I myself will do it. Are used for emphasis. Reflexive pronoun, we may use it for the emphasis also. That's why we are calling them as a emphatic pronoun. I myself will do it. You yourself can best explain. The town itself is not very large. In emphatic pronouns, we are not using in the place of objective place. In reflexive, we are using these pronouns in the objective place that are in reflexive pronoun, that action is reflecting back onto the subject. In emphasis, in emphatic pronoun, we are using them to emphasis. I myself do it. I can improve my English myself. You yourself can best explain. The town itself is not very large. Now we have finished about personal pronoun, reflexive pronoun and emphatic pronoun. Shall we go for the demonstrative pronoun? Demonstrative pronoun. The meaning is itself, it is there in the definition. Demonstrative pronoun is a pronoun that is used to point some persons, things they stand for. These pronouns can indicate items in space or time, and they can be either singular or plural. We are using demonstrative pronoun to demonstrate the person, to demonstrate the thing, to demonstrate the people we are using it, to demonstrate about the things we are using demonstrative pronoun. The pronouns can indicate items, space, or time, and they can be either singular or plural. This, that, these, those, these all are called as the demonstrative pronoun. This is a leaf. We are using this to describe about near things, near persons, near objects. For objective, for distance objective, there we have to use that was a flower, that was a leaf, that was a chair, that was a cow, that was a buffalo. For near objectives, where there we have to use this. For plural, for near, we have to use these are leaves, these are flowers, these are chairs. For near objectives, there we have to use this or these. This becomes singular, these becomes plural. That and those we are using to describe about the far things or objectives. That was a leaf, those are leaves, those are chairs, those are animals. So what is demonstrative pronoun? Demonstrative pronoun we are using to demonstrate the persons, we are using demonstrate about the things. This, that, these, those, these all are called as the demonstrative pronoun. This is not my mobile. This is not my mobile. This becomes a demonstrative pronoun. That pen is yours. That is a demonstrative pronoun. These books are mine. Demonstrative pronoun is what? In the sentence. These is the demonstrative pronoun. Those are beautiful flowers. Those is the demonstrative pronoun. This house is better than that house. This house is better than that house. Okay, let's go for another pronoun. Indefinite pronoun. Indefinite pronoun are used to refer to persons, things in general way, and do not refer to any person or thing in particular. We are using indefinite, not clear, not particularly we are using it. In a general way we are using these pronouns to describe. We are not pointing out the person, we are not pointing out the thing. In a general context we are using these pronouns to describe. We are using indefinite pronouns to refer person or thing in a general context, in a general way, not to refer any person or thing in particular way. For example, one, anybody can become say one. I am not pointing out particular person, I am not pointing Ramu, I am not pointing Charan, I am not pointing Narendra. One means in a general context I am telling. To describe in a general context, there we have to use the indefinite pronoun. One, none, no one, nobody, nothing, some, something, all, a few, many. These all are called as a indefinite pronoun. Indefinite pronouns used to refer to an object or person that is unknown to the speaker. We are using to refer indefinite pronoun that is unknown to the speaker. One should take care of one's parents in their old age. One should take care of one's parents in their old age. In a general context, I am using this pronoun. So, That's why this is becoming as a indefinite, not particular. In a general way, we are using these pronouns. That's why we are calling them as a indefinite pronoun. What are indefinite pronouns? One, none, no one, nobody, nothing, some, something, all, a few, many, etc. These all are comes under the category of indefinite pronoun. None of his poems are well known. None becomes a indefinite pronoun. All were drowned in the recent floods in Uttarakhand. All are indefinite. I am not mentioning particular name who has drowned in the Uttarakhand flood. I am generalizing the sentence. I am generalizing the context. To generalize, to describe in a general sense, we have to use indefinite pronoun. Somebody has stolen my watch. I don't know who has stolen my watch. So in a general context, I am using it. So it becomes an indefinite pronoun. What is indefinite pronoun in fourth sentence? Somebody is the indefinite pronoun. Did you ask anybody to come? Did you ask anybody to come? Anybody becomes an indefinite pronoun. Let's go for interrogative pronoun. What is interrogation? In interrogation, we have a meaning. Interrogation means what? Questioning, inquiring. That is called as a interrogative pronoun. Some of the pronouns we are using them for asking questions. For inquiring information, we are using these pronouns. That's why we call them as an interrogative pronoun. Interrogative pronouns are those pronouns which are used for asking questions. What are they? Whom, who, whose, which, and what. These all are called as the interrogative pronouns. We are using to interrogate. We are using to ask the question. That's why we are calling these pronouns as a interrogative pronoun. Who are you? I am asking question. Who are you? I am a student. I am a teacher. So who is the interrogative pronoun? Whom do you want to meet? Whom is the interrogative pronoun. Whose is this book? Whose is this book? Whose is the interrogative pronoun. Which do you prefer, tea or coffee? I prefer tea rather than coffee. Which is the interrogative pronoun. What do you want? What do you want? What is also interrogative pronoun. So why we are using interrogative pronoun? We are using interrogative pronouns to for interrogation, for asking question. Whose, which, who, whom, what becomes a interrogative pronouns. Let's go for the distributive pronoun. Distributive pronoun, it name itself conveying the meaning distributive. Distributive means what? Distributing something to someone. Either, neither, and each are called as the distributive pronouns because they are referred to show things or persons taken as a one at a time. We call either, neither, and each are a distributive pronoun. Why we are calling them as a distributive pronoun? Because they are referring to show things or persons taken as a one at a time. For this reason, they are always singular and such as followed by the verb in a singular. We are using either, neither, and each to show things or person taken as a one at a time. We are considering them as a one at a time. So because of this reason, these pronouns has to be followed with the singular verbs always in a sentence. Each of them, each of the men received a reward. Each of them is a distributive pronoun. We are considering one at a time. I bought each of these mangoes for 3 rupees. Every mango cost 3 rupees. I bought each of these mangoes for 3 rupees. Neither telephone nor laptop is working. So we are using either, neither and each. We are referring to show things or person. We are using to referring to show about the things or persons. We are taking here as it as one at a time. Because of this reason, these pronouns always has to be followed with a singular verb. For example, neither telephone nor laptop are working is wrong. Neither telephone nor laptop is working is right. When either, neither or each comes in a sentence, that sentence has to be followed with the singular verb. Like this, instead of is, we should not use are here. Singular verb has to be used. Why we have to use the singular verb? We are taking that as a one at a time. In a one context, one at a time we are using. That's why we have to use the singular verb in the sentence. Let's discuss about the reciprocal pronoun. Reciprocal means give and take. So are used to show mutual relationship. When mutual relationship continues, when someone gives us, we have to return something to them, right? Then only mutual relationship functions. If you take and if you never give something to him, the relationship spoils, the mutual relationship spoils there. So in reciprocal pronouns are used to show mutual relationship in a sentence. Each other, one another, these all are called as the reciprocal pronouns. For example, in a sentence you are able to find out what is reciprocal pronoun. Virat and Anushka love each other. Virat and Anushka, they love each other. When Virat loves and Anushka declines, there is no love between them, right? So they are reciprocating. They are giving and taking each other. To describe such kind of context, there we are using to show the mutual relationship. That's why we are calling them as a reciprocal pronouns. Each other, one another is called as a reciprocal pronoun. They all support one another. They are supporting one another. So this becomes a reciprocal pronoun. It shows a mutual relationship among them. So there we have to use one another. They all support one another. I think you know what is reciprocal pronoun. We use reciprocal pronouns when two or more people do the same thing. The boys are fighting one another. Tina and Mary are talking to each other. Each other, one another is called as a reciprocal pronoun. We are using them to show about the mutual relationship. And two or more people do the same thing in a reciprocal sentences. There we have to use the reciprocal pronoun. Next one is relative pronoun are used to refer or relate back to the some nouns going before. In a sentence, instead of noun we are using pronouns. In a sentence, whatever the sentence you write, We are using relative pronouns to relate back to the some nouns going before. Whatever the sentence we are using noun in a sentence, where we use relative pronouns, these relative pronouns are relating back to the noun going, that noun has been already mentioned in the sentence there to show the relation. This pronouns we are using to relate it back to the noun. There we have to use the relative pronoun. Who, whom, whose, where, which, that, etc. These all are called as the relative pronouns. For example, in a sentence you come to know how to use the relative pronouns. I met a stranger who was a pilot. I met a stranger. Stranger is a noun. Who was a pilot. We are using relative pronoun to refer the mentioned noun back again in the sentence. Who is referring whom? It is referring the stranger. It is relating back again onto the noun, so we call them as a relative pronoun. What are relative pronouns in English? Who, whom, whose, where, which, that. These all are called as the relative pronoun. Relative pronoun is referring back or relating back to some nouns going before. I met a stranger. Stranger is a noun. The relative pronoun is referring back. Who was a pilot. I have found the pen which I lost. Whatever the pen I lost, I found it back. So I have found the pen which I lost. Which pen I found it? Whatever the pen I lost, I found it back. So which is showing relation between the previous noun. That's why we are telling this as a relative pronoun. I have found the pen which I lost, which is showing the relation back. Which pen I have lost? Whatever the pen I have lost in the previous, that pen I found it back. This is the whose exercise is done well. This is the whose exercise is done well. This is the house which belongs to my uncle. This is the house which belongs to my uncle. This is the boy. This is the boy whose exercise is done well. Sorry, here I missed the boy here in the third sentence. So here we have to take this is the boy whose exercise is done well. So few minutes back we have discussed what is emphatic and what is reflexive. We know what is the differentiation between the reflexive pronoun and emphatic pronoun. In emphatic pronoun we are using these pronouns to emphasis. In reflexive pronoun, that person or thing that does the action, we are reflecting whatever the action is performed by the person or thing, that action is reflecting back in the subject in reflexive. In emphatic pronoun we are using to emphasis. I myself will do it. I cut my hand myself. It myself becomes a reflexive pronoun. I myself will do it. Myself here is becoming as a emphatic pronoun. Please don't confuse yourself between reflexive pronoun and emphatic pronoun. Reflexive pronouns we are using whatever the action performed by the subject, that action is going to reflect it back onto the subject in reflective pronoun. In emphatic pronoun we are showing to emphasize, insist. I myself will do it. You yourself can best explain. The town itself is not very large. Okay, thank you all. Let's stop it here. So till now we have finished about the noun and pronoun in detail with the various example by using various examples. I think you come to know what is noun, what is pronoun, how many types of nouns are there in English, how many types of pronouns are there. I think you come to know. I think now you know about the various types of pronoun. Let us recollect what we have discussed today. Today we are discussed about the pronoun. We are using pronoun instead of a noun. We have 9 types of pronouns in English: personal pronoun, reflexive pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, indefinite pronoun, and interrogative pronoun, distributive pronoun, and reciprocal pronoun, and relative pronoun that we have discussed in today's class. Thank you all. We are going to discuss another part of speech in next class with by using various examples. Thank you all. We'll meet in the next class.